Greetings, salutations, all those nice things. Welcome to the tail end of this lesson on arithmetic series. Remember that a series is a sum of a related sequence. Before we dive into things, just let's make sure that this was written down correctly. There's a chance that I made an error, an arithmetic error during class, and I'm not entirely sure what number I wrote down, but this should be 130 here. I know for at least one of my classes, when I typed things into my calculator, I decided I'd be clever and shortcut things, and I typed this in as negative 16, because 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, and I typed this in as 14, which was an error, because 13 minus 1 is not 14, it's 12. So that's been corrected. This value should be 130. Anyhow, we do have two more examples where we have to determine particular sums, and we do ideally want to use one of the formulas that we have, where those formulas rely on us knowing T1. They also rely on us knowing N, how many terms we're summing up. And then, of course, depending which formula you're using, you might need the difference. The formulas we have are this one. Which is, of course, provided to you on any tests or quizzes. And then we use that to develop this other formula, which again is provided to you on any tests or quizzes. So let's tackle these last two examples, just kind of going through what we know and what we need to find. In this example, we know for sure that the first term is 1. I see it right there. Right? This is related to the sequence where we have 1, then 3, then 5, then 7, and so on and so forth until we hit 33. So same as that sequence, but we're looking at the series instead. We can tell with all those addition signs. So we know term 1 is 1. I don't have a clue what n is. Got this 33 at the end. Is that the 4th term? Is that the 9th term? Is it the 17th term? The 100th term? The 33rd term? I don't know. We don't have that information. We don't know what n is. But whatever n happens to be, we know that Tn, that nth term, is that 33. And we definitely need to find Sn. That right there, that's our target for this question. Marks-wise, this is a 3-mark question. You do get 1 mark for actually finding the difference. Not just stating it, but showing how you get it. So this line where you take any number and subtract the number right before it, that's worth a mark. And then you do need to simplify that at some point and say, well, 3 minus 1, that's actually 2. If you want to double check, take the 3rd term, subtract the 2nd term, look at 5 minus 3, and hopefully you get the same number. And if you don't, then something's gone wrong somewhere. You'll have to double check the arithmetic. So D is 2. We still don't have enough information to use this formula because we're missing n. And similarly, we don't have enough information, to use this formula, once again, because we're missing n. No matter which formula we use, we absolutely need that value. So the 2nd mark is for finding that value. And to find it, we can use one of the other formulas we're given. It's that formula that the nth term is found by taking the first term and adding the difference n minus 1 times. So in this case, 33 is equal to 1 plus n minus 1 times 2. There's a few ways you can go about solving this. World's your oyster. You can, if you want, distribute this to, open up those brackets and go from there. I don't recommend that. That just adds an operation. My recommendation is just take the 1 away from both sides and then divide by 2 so that you can have your last operation being adding 1 to both sides. So n is 17. Now we have enough info to use either of these sum formulas, the series formulas. We could use this one, the larger one, 2t1 plus n minus 1d. We can use that. We have all the information to use it, totally can. The only reason I wouldn't is because we have another formula which involves less to plug in. This thing just has so many pieces, and it can get a little messy when you plug it into the calculator. So I would say find the sum using the other formula. Sn equals n over 2 times t1 plus tn. We have all the information for that as well. So S17 is 17 over 2 times the first term, which is 1 plus Tn, T17, that nth term, that last term, which is 33. And at this point, you can use your calculator and just see what answer you get. This is the third mark right here. So you get to this point, you've got 3 out of 3. You do need to simplify it, evaluate, like get a straight up value for that expression to get to avoid the communication error. But there it is. You should be getting, I believe, 289. I'm mostly certain it's 289. And while you're doing any practice work, I strongly encourage you to try computing any of these things mentally before actually using your calculator, just to kind of challenge yourself, make sure you're working on your mental math skills as you go along. Me, if I look at this, I say 1 plus 33 is 34. If we divide that by 2, we get 17, and then that means we're just taking 17 times 17, which is 289. Fun fact about this question is, well, turns out S17 is the same thing as 17 squared. Isn't that a funny thing? This is a bit of a callback to when we first looked at graphing parabolas. Whenever we had to go up unit by unit, right? We started at 0 and we said go up 1, go up 3, go up 5, and go up 7, go up 9. We kept adding, accumulating the next odd number. We took that odd number sequence and then just kept adding the pieces together to get every new spot. And that's what we have here. It's just a sequence of odd numbers being added together, thereby forming an odd series. And when we do that, as long as we start at 1, when we add consecutive odd numbers to it, we get a square number, right? This is 1 squared. 1 plus 3, that's 2 squared. S3, 1 plus 3 plus 5, that's 9, which is the same as 3 squared. S4 would add 7 to that. 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 is 16. S4 would be, 16, which is 4 squared. And it's just kind of a neat feature specifically of the sequence or the series of odd numbers starting with 1. So, fun fact. Anyways, try this other example. Again, try it out. Try to do as many processes as you can in your head first, and then double check with calculators second. But pause the video, give it a go, spend a solid 3 minutes and 29 seconds working on it, and then resume the video. Go. All right, you worked on it, and you resumed the video. So here we go. Term 1 in this case is 9. N, I have no idea. But term n, that last term, is negative 26. Sn, that's what we actually need to find. I don't have a hot clue. But the difference, we can take it as any term minus the term before. You can say it's negative 1 minus 4. You can say it's 4 minus 9. That's the only combos we can really work with. So 4 minus 9 is equal to negative 5. Shaboom. Still don't know n, but going to use that formula. Tn equals T1 plus how many differences? Well, that's just n minus 1. So negative 26 is 9 plus n minus 1 times the difference. I was working on this earlier. I forgot that the difference was negative 5. Super easy to make substitution errors or even transcription errors as you go through this. So just double check values as you're playing with things. If I had gone with positive 5, I would have run into an issue at some point. Anyways, subtracting 9 from both sides gives me negative 35. Whoop. Dividing both sides by negative 5, we get 7. And then adding 1 to both sides. N is 8. Now we have n. Now we can, let's change color on this. Boop. And now we can actually proceed with finding the sum. Remembering again, you could use either formula for the sum, but it'll be faster to use the one with fewer moving pieces. So S8 is 8 over 2 times T1 plus Tn. That's that, and then we get ourselves a value out of here. You can make some guesses as to the nature of what this value is based on the series we see. We have 9 plus 4 plus negative 1 plus negative 6 plus some other stuff. Overall, is this series going to be positive or negative? Well, there's very little lying on the positive side, and then everything after this negative 1 is going to be negative. So negative, 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 and then finally ending with this negative 26. So you should overall be getting a negative value out of this. If you don't, something's gone wrong. Anyways, according to my calculations, what would I calculate this as? Let's do it mentally. Sure, why not? 9 minus 26. 9 and 26 are 17 apart. So that's got to be negative 17. So negative answer for sure. 17 times 4. Well, 17 times 2 is 34. And 34 times 2 is 68. So boom diata. This thing is DU and done. Anyhow, try some practice work. I suggest the worksheets because they're handy. And that's about that. Be good to yourselves, be good to one another. Tell everyone I say hello. The end.